Hello everybody, today we're going to learn how to draw The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. So for this you're going to need a white piece of paper, you're going to need a pencil, a Sharpie or other black marker, or even a black color pencil or something that you can just outline things with a little bit more of a darkness, and whatever coloring materials you choose to use. I am going to be using markers. You can use crayons, color pencils, you could even paint if you wanted, whatever floats your boat. So we're going to start by drawing the eyes of our cat in the hat right in the middle of the paper. If you're not sure where the middle of the paper is, you can always fold your paper in half to create a mark for yourself to know where the middle is. If you prefer not to do that, that's totally fine, but that just helps me know where the middle is, and that is where I'm going to be drawing the eyes. So I want to draw the eyes nice and large and sort of close together. I'm also going to draw some pupils, and I'm having him look off to the side, but you could have him looking straight ahead or wherever you want, depending on where you put those pupils. Next, I'm going to add his nose. His nose is small and round like this, and we're going to be adding the shape of his face. So we want to make it look kind of like the book cover, where he's got a 3/4 turn, so he's kind of not really looking at us from the side or straight on, kind of sort of an angle. So what I'm going to do is on this side of the face, you're going to draw a curve going down to about where his eyes are. And then from this part, we're going to go way out and way under to create the cheek and the mouth. So I'm going to go out like this, and I'm going to go under his face like this and show his smile. All right, next we're going to create the lip and the neck, and then we're going to create the other side of his head as well. So right somewhere around here, right around the lower part of his mouth, I'm going to draw a little bit of a jutting out part to create the lower part of his lip, and then it's going to slowly go down and slope down into sort of like a funny skinny neck shape area. Then on the other side, I'm going to give it a little space so he has a little bit of a neck, but his neck is pretty skinny. And I'm going to have it go up and kind of just slope around. I'm actually going to draw some zigzaggy lines as I go up, but if you don't want to, that's okay. And I'm going to stop right about where his eyes are. That's where I'm going to stop, okay? So now that I've gotten to this point, I'm going to take right where I stopped, so again, right near the eyes, where the eyes are, I'm going to draw an ear shape, and it's going to be a curve to a point and another curve on the other side. It should be pointy on the top, curvy on the two sides, and that's how I'm going to create his ear. I'm going to create another shape just like that on the inside to show the inside of his ear. Now, of course, we need his hat. His hat is one of the most important parts. This hat is going to be so tall it's going to go off the page. So what we're going to do is on one side of the ear, I'm going to draw a little shape that goes out, a straight line that goes out that way. And the other side, I'm going to have the line go out this way. So that's going to represent the top of the hat. And of course, we need a brim. That's the edge of the hat. So I'm going to create a layer on top of it, sticking out. If you'd like to, you can even put a little line like this on either side. That's going to give it a little bit of a 3D look to make it look like the hat is going around his head. But it's not necessary. If you don't want to add that part, you could just leave it. And now I'm going to add the lines to show the top of his hat. So on one side of the ear, I'm not going to do it on this side, on the left side of the ear here, we're going to draw a line going straight up, and it can be a little bit of a funny wavy line if you want it to be. His hat is not perfectly straight. And then close to the end of the hat, not super close, but maybe like where the end of his head is, like here, is where I'm going to draw the other part of his hat. Now I'm going to add some stripes to my hat because his hat has stripes. There we go, and they kind of went off the edge of the page. And we have to add a few more details to him. We need a bow tie. That's another little famous characteristic. So right here at the bottom of the page here, you might have a little more space than I have. I drew mine pretty large, but I'm going to try to fit a bow tie in here. So right in the middle of his neck is where I'm going to put a circle. That's going to be the center of the bow tie. And on either side, I'm going to do almost like a triangle shape where the point is here and it goes out and down and over again, but I'm going to make it a little bit of a wavy wobbly line, so it's not going to be perfect triangle. So see how it kind of looks like it could be a triangle, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. It's going to be a little bit wavy wobbly, just like that. And I'm going to draw a couple lines. If you have more space than I have, that's fine, but I'm going to draw a couple lines going off the page. Those are going to be his shoulders. All right, we're left with a couple last details before we add our color and our texture. One of the details is that he has whiskers, of course. He is a cat. So I'm going to add first a couple dots right where the whiskers would be coming from. And then I'm going to add a couple of whiskers coming out of the sides. So a few on one side, a few on the other side, and we're all set with our cat face. Now, one of the things that's going to help make this cat look a little bit more like the Cat in the Hat is all of the textures, and those things are going to be added with Sharpie. So let me show you a couple more little details. Let's give him some eyebrows. I'm going to give him one that's raised up kind of high, and the other one's going to be down a little bit lower. I might draw a couple lines going around his eyes like this, just to make it look a little bit more funny. And the last thing we're going to do is add some textures along the left side of his body, so the side with the fur here. So if you didn't already, you're going to want to add some sort of zigzag shapes to make it look like fur. And then we're going to be adding some lines going one direction, some going the other direction. This is called cross hatching, and it just creates some texture and some shadow for his body, just like the original illustration. So I have some lines going one direction, some going the other, but only on the one side of his body. I don't have it on the right side, just the left side. I'm also putting some cross hatching inside his ear as well. And the last step, I'm adding a couple little lines to his bow. The very last step is to continue to add some lines only to the left side of the body to create some shadow, just the left side. Anywhere where you want to have a shadow or you want it to look darker, you're going to use lines. Now this is where we're going to get into our Sharpie or our black marker or whatever material you decide to use. I'm going to outline absolutely everything with the Sharpie, and when I get to the texture part, I'm going to do all of that with my black marker as well. So let's speed through this. All right, so we are all done with our Cat in a Hat drawing part. So you can see that the marker part is a real big important part in making it look a lot more like a Dr. Seuss type of thing with all the texture. Now if your cat has a bit of a different shaped face, a different shaped hat, or even if the markings are a little bit different, maybe your bow is different, your ear is different, don't worry about it, totally fine. Dr. Seuss characters are very unique in that they are always kind of funky, goofy, weird shapes. So if you have a couple extra like lines poking around somewhere, or you just added a few extra textures that you wouldn't normally expect, he did that a lot. He added a lot of lines and extra funny textures. So don't worry if yours is a little bit different than mine is. Now we are going to, for the last step, add a little bit, I just wanted some shadow under here. We're going to add a little bit of whatever color you've chosen to finish off the cat. Now the cat himself is black and white, so you're actually not going to be coloring in the cat's face or fur or of any kind. The only thing we're going to be coloring in is the hat, the bow, and perhaps doing some sort of color or pattern for the background. So whatever method you choose, watercolor, paint, crayons, color pencils, markers, is going to work just great. So let's speed through it. Okay, and there you have it, my finished Cat in the Hat drawing. I decided instead of giving him the typical traditional red and white striped, I went the rainbow stripe, and then I decided instead of a solid background, I was going to do a striped background. I might still decide to add a second color inside here, maybe using crayons or color pencils, something that I can do very quickly just to make it finished and patterned, but this is my finished piece. I hope you guys had fun making this Cat in a Hat drawing with me, and I can't wait to see some of your cat in hats floating around the universe.